budget would address.
I call Eugenie Sage.
Tēnā koe, Mr Speaker, thank you. National's plan for the economy is to sell off our assets, to hope to strike oil and to expand the gambling industry. The government says it's planning to get its books into surplus, but its apology for an economic plan is in fact increasing New Zealand's indebtedness. This budget does nothing to improve the health of the overall economy. It means our current account deficit continues to increase to 5% of GDP this year. That's the second largest in the OECD, when the average is 1%. And we're looking at an increase to 6.5% of GDP in 2017. Mr Speaker, this is a budget from a government which acts for vested interests rather than for all New Zealanders. A government which gives tax cuts to the top 2% rather than implementing policies which are in the interests of all New Zealanders. It's a budget about selling assets which have been built up over generations. It's about changing our laws to benefit those few vested interests at the expense of our shared prosperity and at the expense of common good. It's bankrupt of ideas beyond asset sales and exploiting human misery through encouraging gambling and exploiting nature. We've seen it with the sleazy Sky City deal, with the changes to the Resource Management Act, with the budget housing legislation, which will increase urban sprawl, which will allow the Minister to ignore due process under the Resource Management Act and override local democracy, override urban limits and push through new subdivision and property development without notification and public submissions. A Property Council spokesperson said the changes went beyond his wildest dreams, and that's because this government's policies are about benefiting vested interests. Mr Speaker, the government is happy to use our 100% pure marketing image to sell primary production and attract tourists. It's able to find another $158 million in this budget to spend on tourism promotion, but it fails to recognise the credibility gap between the image and the reality. It's not investing in protecting the landscapes, the wildlife, the threatened species that visitors come here to see and enjoy. Because in this budget, the Department of Conservation gets a mere $163 million to spend on natural heritage management. Over the last 5 years, since 2008-09, spending on pest and weed control, intensive management of our threatened species such as kakapo has increased by a mere $4.2 million. And yet the government can throw an extra $80 million to subsidise irrigation, proposes to spend another $400 million from the proceeds of asset sales, but it can't find anything substantial to increase and improve the prospects for our threatened species and our conservation lands. Certainly it reduced the size of the cuts by $5 million and it saved 70 jobs, but that is a mere crumb. Mr Speaker, Stephen Joyce in Question Time talked about $2 million going to develop a broader New Zealand story to promote exports. That's part of the business growth agenda. But that whole business growth agenda, which is such a fundamental plank of this government's economic strategy, focuses very much on the short term rather than the long-term future of this country and of New Zealanders in protecting our a healthy environment. That's why, Mr Speaker, we are seeing posters like this in Canterbury asking Mr Joyce the hard questions. Where is our water going? Are we looking at this? Lakes which represent our 100% pure image, or dead fish in our streams? Mr Speaker, in Canterbury, this business growth agenda has seen an expansion in irrigated land since 2007 equivalent to the size of Lake Taupo. That has seen the sort of water pollution that kills fish. It has seen, when you drive south, rivers in summer which are deprived of water. People want answers. They don't want a new New Zealand story which gets rid of 100% pure because of the yawning gap between that marketing image and the reality. If we had the Greens in government, we would seek to give integrity to that brand. We would have strong rules for water, strong policies that protect our environment, because we recognise that is the basis of a healthy economy.
Thank you.
The Honourable Amy Adams.
Mr Speaker, I move that this debate be now adjourned.
The question is that the motion be agreed to. Those of that opinion will say aye.
Aye.
To the contrary, no. The ayes have it. This debate is adjourned and set down for resumption next sitting day. Call on Government Orders of the Day numbers 2 and 3.